We're all going on a summer holiday. Do you know what? I love buses, and this particular Hidden London Hangout is a bit of a special one because we chose our bus. It's the Routemaster. I vowed I would never sing on camera, and I've broken my own rule. Hello, welcome to the Hidden London Hangout this week. It's Series 2, Episode 3, and we're on the buses. It's going to be fantastic. We've got loads to go out today. We've got some great films from the depot. You might see me driving a bus, and we've got food and drink on the episode as well. So much to go at. I don't do this on my own. I've got three amazing people from the London Transport Museum to help me. First off the bus is Chris Nix from the London Transport Museum. Hello.
Alex, it's a great one today. I'm so excited about it. I had to break out the Routemaster t-shirt especially for it.
Good work. I tell you, I've got the old moquette as well. It's fantastic. Look at that, lovely and sexy.
Yeah,
so we've got a driver. We also need he's got one. The boy's got one. We also need a conductor on this bus. So I think Siddy Holloway, you fit the bill beautifully.
Oh, I would love to have been a conductor using those old those machines and sort of dealing out tickets. I would have been very good at that.
It was a Clippy's job. And also we need a mechanic. So I think get under the bonnet, Laura Hilton Brown, you're on.
Do you know what? I take the challenge. Don't mind getting my hands dirty. So there you go. You've got your engineer stroke mechanic.
We have it all, and they're so beautiful, all these people as well, and we know you love them. So today, this is all about the Routemaster, the icon of London. If you think about London, wherever you are in the world, you think about a black cab, and you think about a red Routemaster bus. And today, we're going to talk you through the history of that amazing bus and what happened when things changed in London and times changed. So let's first of all go back to the depot and look at the exterior of this amazing bus. Ah, fancy seeing you here. Welcome to my lovely, lovely Routemaster bus. I've got a little tribute going on here because my socks today are the same fabric as the seats of the Routemaster, so I'm pretty good. Chris is wearing a special mask, we'll say no more about that. Siddy's got one on as well, looking gorgeous. And actually, Laura, I think you steal the show with your very classy picnic outfit.
I totally do. We've got provisions for our trip today, so we're all prepared.
It's all good. So as I say, today's all about a tribute to the Routemaster bus. Chris, what do we need to know about this majestic icon of London?
What? I'm going to have to take that off so you
do.
can hear me. The Routemaster is a wonderful design, first prototyped with this one in 1954. Took 5 years then to iterate the design through to what eventually hit the streets. RM5 and onwards were the utterly typical one, of which there were over 2,700 made. One of the reasons this was such a revolutionary design is aircraft manufacture techniques were used in it. So it's an all aluminium body, stress skin, so it made it lighter on the chassis. It meant that they also could have automatic gearbox, full independent suspension all the way around, things like an interior heater. These are all things that we take for granted today. They were typical of saloon cars of the day, but it was revolutionary to have it on a bus. It meant the passenger comfort on these was tremendous. It was designed specifically for London streets with the hop-on, hop-on-off little platform at the back, and so they were just utterly suited to being used in London, and they're very popular with passengers as a result.
You say about the interior. Let's go and have a look at the interior now and have a little sit on those lovely comfy seats. I love this. This is so beautiful. And the thing is, let's have a quick look at the exterior of this bus from the front, because it always strikes me that when you look at these buses, they look so friendly from the front.
Yeah.
I mean, look, isn't that beautiful? And Laura, I say friendly. How would you describe those buses?
Do you know what? That's actually not bad. I'm in total agreement with you there. It looks kind of friendly and cozy, and that you want to jump on and take a ride. And I think what was really lovely about our trip to the depot is Chris took us all on a kind of journey round the depot and really unpicked the journey of the Routemaster itself, because it has been reimagined over the years. So it's been redesigned, it's been re-engineered. And what's really lovely is, you know, you can still see that iconic, what were the words you used before, Alex? A majestic icon. I mean, what a lovely, lovely phrase, because I think that sums it up really nicely, because even the later versions, you still have these little kind of, you know, traditions and designs that this early one had. So yeah, I think it's a lovely, friendly bus too.
And it's funny because we wouldn't normally show you a picture of a hubcap, but it is quite important really to see a hubcap of a Routemaster bus, isn't it, Chris?
It is, yeah, because this one bears the name of the manufacturer of the Routemaster, which was AEC, or Associated Equipment Company. And as you can see, for it being placed on a roundel there, it was part of London Transport.
I love that. The detail in this bus is beautiful. Let's go and have a sit inside the first Routemaster and we'll talk through what we can see there.
So we're here in the interior of the RM1, the beautiful Routemaster, and I have to say the seats are blooming sight more comfortable than buses of the modern day. That's the first thing. And funnily enough, talk about the seats, the fabric is one example of the incredible design specification of this bus, isn't it, Chris?
It is, yeah. This bus was able to cram 64 seats in, so it could carry a lot of passengers, but the design of it meant that they travelled in style. Douglas Scott was responsible for the design of the interior, and you've got this very distinctive kind of almost tartan pattern of seat covering, and the burgundy panels down here, and this yellow colour up there was known as sun yellow.
It had another name though, didn't it?
It did. One of the bit like in pubs, it's known as Fagnolia. It's the colour that Magnolia paint goes when it's
Immense Fagnolia. It's rented accommodation all over London.
Just to explain to our international viewers, this is very important. Fagnolia, fag as in
a
cigarette. And the nicotine colour that would gather on the ceiling,
which would otherwise stain white ceilings, basically.
Yeah.
So it would stain them a kind of yellow colour. I'm pretty sure I've lived in flats with Fagnolia.
Fagnolia everywhere. Yeah, absolutely.
The nice thing though is with the tungsten bulbs in here, with a warm yellow light, it made them feel really cosy. Yeah. So you imagine even on a winter's day with the heater going in here, the warm yellow light, it really was a snug place to be.
It was, and also looking over there, this gap.
Hang on,
in
mind
the
the
bus.
picnic.
I'm so sorry. I won't come in your
Mind
sandwich.
it.
It's all right. This gap was cut out to make sure that the conductor stood out of the way when the bus was full. So the conductor was never in the way when people were trying to get on and off the bus. I loved it. And of course, the other thing I love about these buses, Chris, and of course, Laura, you might remember this as well. Siddy, you were in Iceland at the time.
Yep.
There was this string, doesn't work on this one, but you used to go ding, and it was to stop the bus and tell the driver that you wanted to get off. And the conductor used the same string to double ding to tell the driver it was time to drive off.
And you get the ding ding, hold very tight please.
I just love it. And weirdly, about buses these days, if you have a look at any of the buses that are now in circulation, they have a digital ding. So you push the button and it goes ding ding. Well, of course, in the old days, double ding meant don't stop. These days, it means do.
A digital ding just isn't the same as the real thing either.
Oh, I love a real ding every time.
Got to say, on the new Routemasters that we've got, the ones that came out a few years ago though, the dings do sound more like a real ding.
Should we just test that ding? Should we go ding crazy?
There's a lot of dinging. I remember though when I first came to London that these buses, especially in Aldwych and along the Strand, were still running. So I get the comfort value, I really do. But if I was that little commuter sat at the front over there and I wanted to get off and it was busy, it was a little bit of a tricky kind of,
Well, those
assault course to get out again.
Those ones that you were travelling on then, they were re-engined. They had a new engine, new gearbox off the Dart buses, so they were insanely fast.
Right.
So one way that you might have got off the bus was if you weren't holding on and the
Flew.
driver dropped it like it was hot. You were just going straight out the
I've definitely done that. I've definitely done that.
I loved it. And when I was a kid as well, there were kids who used to leave school and they would etch off some of the letters up here. I don't know if you can see this, it says 4 seats. If you imagine, they would etch off the S and they then etch off the bottom of the E and it would become 4 fats as well.
It's Alex, we always go to you for the pop culture bits.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you like the way he said, some children?
My
Yeah, he
fingernails
doesn't
were never
know.
long enough.
Called Alex.
Love this bus, it's beautiful. Where are we going next?
I think we should go to the next one of the series, the next prototype, which is RM2.
Excellent.
All right, let's go.
I love that. Many things came to mind as I watched that. Not only how many other types of fag are there, but also the detail, the beautiful detail on that bus. Because Siddy, It was all about the detail, and there's a picture we can show of the light bulbs and a bell push. Everything was engineered and designed, wasn't it, about that bus?
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And I mean, everything was thought out specifically for London, which is what I absolutely love about these buses, you know. So even the bell push, they've got, you know, the kind of feel and kind of look of London transport at the time. The tungsten bulbs, again, you know, give that kind of warm yellow glow to the buses, again, just to kind of make probably the drab London kind of winter a little bit cozier. So everything has just been really beautifully thought out and designed, and you know, that's why these buses were such a, you know, they had such long lives, because they were just so well thought out and thoughtful.
Beautiful. And I love the idea that, you know, at the depot there'd be someone going, "Hey Sid, I need another bell push. Sid, get me a bell push." And somewhere it was just sitting in a box somewhere. I love the idea of a spare parts department for buses. That'd be so cool to have a raid round, wouldn't it? But next along came the RM2. So not the Routemaster 1, but the Routemaster 2. And let's have a look at the front of that, because they were pretty majestic buses too.
You can see the red bus in the background there with the engine out the front is RM1, and then the green one on the left-hand side of the shot is RM2, the second prototype. And you can see, even with the bonnet removed from RM1, you can see that that front end is rather different on RM2. And as they're trying out different mechanics underneath the hood, they're also having to change the shape of the hood, the bonnet, to accommodate that. So this bus had a few different styles of bonnet on it during its life, and we've put it back to one of its early incarnations. You might also notice it's green. And that's because some of these buses served on country routes and not just the city routes, which were the ones that were red. So it's red for the city, green for the country. And
sprayed, not painted by hand as well.
Indeed, yeah. This bus was spray painted at Oldham Works. RM1 was brush painted because the spray booth facility was a new modern thing which hadn't been finished, but they just finished it in time for RM2 to have the treatment.
Room for one on top. Let's go up on the top deck and have a look at what it was like.
This is like being on a school trip, isn't it? I feel as naughty being on this bus as I would do if I was on a school trip.
Nobody's eating cola cubes and being sick on the back.
We're not, and I'm certainly going to go to the toilet properly.
Cola cubes! Sorry, that was a blast from the past.
Very good. Now this is the RM2, Chris. Looks very nice, still got its Fagnolia, still got its lovely moquette seats. Mm-hmm. What was different about the RM2 to the RM1?
Well, to the untrained eye, one, it's green, because this was used
on the
country
outside.
routes.
Yeah.
On the outside, yeah.
Yeah.
And two, the bonnet was a bit different because they were playing around with different mechanics, different engine sizes under the bonnet, and the look of the bus changed from the front. Inside, though, you know, most people look at this and just go, "Yeah, it's a Routemaster."
So this was just an evolution, the next style of London bus, really.
Yeah, and we can appreciate some of the fixtures and fittings there. You can see you've got the latest in air conditioning. Nice windy window.
I did love this though. There was
nice
something
action,
really cute.
right?
I love it. I love it. It's as much about my wrist action it is about the window. But
The
you know.
design is amazing.
To be honest, it's better than the pull-out
Yeah.
thing that you get in modern buses.
I love
More
this.
refined.
Still got the light
Really
bulbs as well, which is good.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that even in those days, we were welcoming foreign tourists, because it does say, "Queue please, bitte anstellen, por favor, garden cola." What? Garden cola? Cola cubes.
Garden-
Prego
You would-
formare la fila. Faites la queue.
Faites
Is
la-
it queue? French? Faites
S'il
la
vous
queue,
plaît.
s'il vous plaît.
Yeah.
Queue. I never knew that.
You're bound to have
There you
taken
go.
it from
In many, many languages, beautiful. So this is another beautiful bus, really, isn't it?
Do love the adverts, they're cool.
They're lovely, lovely. Lost property elephant there. You could have a lost property elephant.
And you can see there the warning about the platform, where it's saying it is dangerous to get on or off a bus except at a bus stop. A big stop sign. So even though it was designed with an open platform so that you could hop on and off it, they still have to give you the warning that it's dangerous to do so if the bus is moving. Of course, everybody did.
Has this one been restored at all? So it's been.
Yeah, it's you know, the seat coverings.
Well,
obviously
there's some parts here that are like a bit more discoloured than, for example, there. So some of the seats been
That's right.
replaced and things.
Yeah, we only
Perhaps somebody had an accident.
replace them when they need
nice.
to be. So if one bit's okay and another one needs maintaining, we just do the bit that needs doing.
Lovely. Well, where are we going to go next?
Beautiful.
Well, I think we should go and have a look at a very unusual version of the Routemaster, the coach version.
Oh, really? For long distances?
Yeah.
Bouncy, bouncy. Let's do that then.
Sounds good.
Right, okay, so here we are again, and if you watch that film, if you get a chance to watch it back again, just look at Laura throughout that, because she actually looks like she's doing a WI trip to Brent Cross all the way through it. So, it's just very, very funny. I was transfixed by what you were doing on that bus. It was this moment where you go, hey, ladies, would anyone like to go to Brent?
I was very interested in looking at the whole upper deck interior there. I was transfixed by it.
I love it.
Thinking in your environment.
It's brilliant. And of course, the thing about these buses,
colour cubes, really, weren't you?
She was completely bothered by cola cubes. With not so much WI, more sort of like 14-year-old trip to the anyway, so the thing about these buses, and we should point this out now, is that not only did it have that open platform at the back, which was amazing if you just wanted to leap on or off the bus, notwithstanding all the health and safety implications of that. But the other thing about it was, and we hinted at it earlier, that it was the design. It was the fact that everything was designed on that bus. Even the mirrors that sat over the set of stairs, everything was designed to an nth degree. And all of that servicing was done at a massive, massive factory place, huge workshop at a place called Aldenham, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it was. And there's a picture of it in full flow. You can see it didn't just service Routemasters, it serviced buses and indeed trolley buses there in the centre of the shot from all over the place. And yeah, in the background there, just on the right hand side of the shot, you can see there's a Routemaster being worked on.
And also the actual technical drawings of the Routemaster, the fact that everything on that bus could effectively be serviced or replaced within one shift. The bus would only ever be, or was designed to be, only ever out of service for one day. And anything could be fixed on it, couldn't it, Chris?
Yeah, and that was because it was designed as a mass-produced vehicle, as I mentioned earlier. There were over 2,700 of the things produced, and they had interchangeable parts. And it's probably best to illustrate that by just having a look at some of the engineering drawings to illustrate that. You can see that frame that they've created there is made up of, it's standardized parts. It's aluminium, so it's nice and light. And things could be bolted on or bolted off if they need a replacing. You've got a dented panel. And so it was quite a successful design from that point of view. And that stressed skin structure there meant that the underframe could be much lighter than the previously very heavy chassis that would be on a vehicle. That's the body stripped away, and you can see just how lightweight that underframe is. And you can see the coil springs all around it, which give it a very comfortable ride. And one more, this just illustrates that point about the interchangeability. You can see each of those parts has got a number. So if you know which one's bust and needs replacing, you can go and get it from the store and get it on and off in a jiffy.
It's beautiful. And if you do like to geek out, if you look on the internet, if you look on YouTube, there's an amazing program called Perpetual Motion. And it's all about the Routemaster. It's a really lovely BBC program that was made many, many years ago. And all sorts of people pay tribute to it. And one particular guy who works in one of the depots in London described the difference between the new model of buses and those. And the fact that to get an engine out of a Routemaster, to service it or fix it, was actually a very easy thing to do. You could pull it out, fix it, push it back in again. With new buses, it takes so much more time and energy to dismantle them, to repair them, to put them all back together again. So they're an efficient way of making London work and get repaired and then get back to work very, very quickly. Now, as time progressed, it wasn't just Routemasters running around doing little journeys in London. They went far further afield, and there was actually a Routemaster coach.
And there it is. That's a RCL. So let's have a little bit more about that when we paid it a visit.
Well, here we are at RCL 2229, the coach version of the Routemaster, with a big 11.3 litre engine crammed under the bonnet, and behind that a very special driver.
Hello. I'm in the special seat today because I get to be in the driver's cab of this beautiful, beautiful bus. So as Chris said, the engine is larger, which means it has a faster gearbox. So this bus can go faster and longer and in more comfort for the passengers and the driver than the RM1 and the RM2. That's amazing, right?
So let's go and have a look at how those passengers are getting on at the back. If we come down this coach version, we can see first of all at the back the platform is rather unusual in that it has a pair of doors. Rather than being an open platform, the doors are fitted to stop people falling off it at speed and also to help keep the warmth in on a cold day. And here we see our first passenger, Siddy Holloway.
Hello, isn't it beautiful? And already quite a bit different from the other Routemasters we've already seen. Different maquette, so it's got sort of a red and grey maquette instead of the yellow and green one that the original Routemaster has. Also notice the seats, they're double the thickness, so they're actually more cushioned than a normal Routemaster. So you've got much more comfort and a better bounce in these seats. And honestly, I'm thinking about if the doors were closed, the heating's on, you're bouncing along nicely, I reckon I could take a nap quite easily.
Okay, well, we'll leave Siddy to enjoy that nap, gently rock to sleep in the coach. And we're going to head upstairs to find our final passenger and see how he's getting on.
Do you know, you mentioned passengers, but actually I think crew, because this takes me right back to my cabin crew training days. Your nearest exit is behind you, and also there are luggage racks for when you want to bring a suitcase on holiday, which is really cool. There are ashtrays as well in all of the seats in case you want a crafty fag on your journey. And as Siddy said, these wonderful comfy seats are an indication of the fact that these buses were meant for longer journeys. And my goodness, I think they would have been a pretty cool journey too.
Oh, you see, takes me back, honestly. I can evacuate a 737 in a couple of minutes. That'd be perfect. And very nice as well, Siddy, that you managed to get your little swatch. What was that, Chris?
I said I won't ask how you evacuate it.
Anytime you'll ever find a cabin crew being rude, they will get you out of that plane by hook or by crook. And interestingly, the lovely thing that I did notice as well, there was a nice swatch of old Routemaster moquette on Siddy's arm that she keeps there for special occasions, just like Chris has got his own laptop bag made out of it.
Well, it was in fact, it's my maquette. Oh.
Love that.
It was my maquette mask, actually, my face mask that I got from the London Transport Museum shop. So I keep that on my arm when I'm out because it's just so easy to then grab it off, put it on whenever I need to go into a shop or something like that.
It sounds fantastic. I'm really, really glad about that. It looks absolutely great. Now, the thing is, then the designs changed because we are now at a point in London's bus evolution where other companies are thinking we can make buses too. And all over, Routemaster and AEC are still making these beautiful buses, but they decided to change it because they put the door at the front, didn't they, Chris?
They did indeed, Alex. And here it is. This is FRM1, the only prototype front-loading Routemaster. You can see the doors are at the front this time, which means the engines had to go somewhere else.
The weird thing about it is, if the Routemaster looked friendly, he looks bemused.
It does have a slightly confused air to it, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
it's like a sort of
handle on
bus
the bonnet.
emoji.
That's actually
Right,
an air scoop on the front.
It certainly does. It certainly does. Let's have a look inside it then, Chris.
Well, hello driver
sir.
Siddy.
Hello, come on in. Now I get to be the driver on this one, the front-loaded one, but I have to do double the work because there are no conductors that were employed on these buses. So the driver had to both drive the vehicle and also take payment for the fares. So I had to do double the work than Laura did. You're lucky girl, Laura, but it's really, really nice. It kind of feels like I could absolutely, you know, you've got such wide field of vision that it's probably quite a nice one to actually drive, but I reckon you should go and have a little look around.
Okay, well, let's go and see what the passengers think of it.
Just have a little relax here. Because the engine was at the back, it meant there was a massive back seat. The fun you could have on this back seat. In fact, driver, can you see me back here?
Of course I can, son, behave.
Whoops, I won't do that then. Moquette was just as we expected it to be. Beautiful Douglas Scott Joy. And let's go upstairs.
Okay, now these stairs, again, we're used to seeing them go this way on more modern buses, but this was a bit unusual at the time, having them run this way up. And here we find our last passenger.
So here we are on the upper deck, And what's lovely are some of the similarities, the nod towards the RM1. As Alex said before, we've got the moquette and the leather here. We have the similar window design. But what's good to note is that we have these single seats. So we have the little old single ones here, which is about design, saving space, and so we've got a flow of passengers that can kind of go to and from the staircase. What's also good to note is there are speakers along here, as I believe in its latter years, this prototype was used as a tour bus around London.
And the prototype, although it did work pretty well, it had a few issues with catching fire and oil leaks and things like that. It was really a different reason, and a technical one, that it didn't make it into operational service.
Because ultimately this was a flawed bus. It had 2 floors, but it was also flawed, F-L-A-W-E-D, because it was cheaper to buy off the peg. There were bus companies making much cheaper buses that did exactly the same job with one-man operation, as they used to call it. And so this one just never really went anywhere.
I can still see you up there.
Oh, hang on, we've got a heckler. Where can you see us?
I'm looking at you right now, Kev. You better behave.
Oh, this is really spooky. How's she doing this?
This is the periscope, which is fitted so the drivers could see, and if we just peer down it, we might just be able to see down in the bottom.
Got my eye on you.
Always got my eye on you.
I bet you did. I bet you did. Do you know that there were people who used to do moonies down the periscope?
What?
They used to do moonies. So when the driver looked up, he certainly saw that it was a full moon. How lovely
This
it
wasn't
was.
you, Alex.
No, not me.
When we
As
say
if I ever do
people-
anything wrong. Although I have to say, by the way, guys, you really could have told me I looked such a wreck. I looked like I'd been dragged out of a skip that day. Crikey, it was terrible, honestly. Now, we hinted at it in that film there, but ultimately, the problem with the Routemaster was it was a bespoke bus for London, but it was pricey. And off the peg was becoming a lot cheaper, wasn't it, Siddy?
Yes, it was. Well, because they were, as you say, off the peg. They weren't being bespokely made for the streets of London anymore. They were just kind of made in a factory. And so, you know, if you manufacture anything in bulk, it's always going to make it cheaper effectively. And so that's what they're doing there. They are being serviced at Aldenham there, however, but completely different to the other Routemasters in that, you know, they aren't bespoke for London. They were, you know, they could have been basically put anywhere in the UK to work as a bus.
Yeah. But weirdly, you know, whatever we say about the Routemaster, there is something utterly beautiful about them, and our love for them will probably never die. You still see them in London, and we'll see another one in a minute. But I have to share this with you guys, because, I mean, you thought I was just quite sad and pathetic about the tube, but I'm actually a whole lot worse, because a couple of years ago, I drove a Routemaster, and it was awesome. Take a look at this.
I think it was just the bus. I saw one who was browsing around on eBay one day, probably about 6-7 years ago, and I saw a Routemaster for sale. I just thought it was so bizarre, it never occurred to me.
You really do feel it, don't you?
The steering gets really heavy at low speed, so
It's just the most amazing thing to do, though.
that was absolutely perfect. The distance off each cone every time was the same. It was about a foot. And so it's consistent. Very good. And spatial awareness.
And just to say, I will be driving the number 9 bus tomorrow, which will be lovely. I hope that you heard that, Laura. He did actually describe my chicaning as perfect.
You know me too well, because I listened to that bit, and in my head, I love you so much, and I'm glad you did that. I was like, go on, go over a cone. I hope he goes over a cone.
It was so good. And the best bit of it was, I mean, obviously that was a slightly longer take that I did edit down, but it was really, really cool. And the thing I would say as just a driver of cars rather than buses, is the Routemaster is a beautiful thing to drive. It's got an automatic gearbox. It's got a great handbrake that's got like a big clamp that you pull towards you. The indicators don't cancel. They're on a round knob. So you either go 1 notch left for left or 1 notch right for right, or cancel it in the middle. And the bus is just a joy. That clug, 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 clug noise that it just makes the whole experience more divine. Have you ever driven one, Siddy?
No, I would love to. I was actually thinking, you know, I do have a forklift license, heavy machinery license.
Surprised? Why am I
And
not
even a
surprised?
crane license, yeah. So maybe I should go and get my bus driver license now.
I'm seriously thinking about this actually. And if anybody out there owns a Routemaster and can teach us how to drive it off-road, we'll all come up and meet you, all right? That's the deal. We'll all come up and meet you. One person who's obviously driven, I mean, I don't even have to ask the question. Chris, have you ever driven a Routemaster?
Alex, these are a worrying set of concepts. I've got a vision of you off-roading in a Routemaster, Siddy driving down the street with one loaded on a forklift. It's like, I need to keep an eye on you guys around the collection. I've only actually driven an RM when it's being pushed, as in just, you know, turning the wheel. I've never actually driven that one under power. I've driven other buses, but not that one actually.
Okay, so I reckon I don't need to ask Laura, she'd be well up for it. I mean, she was sat in the driver's cab every time we could possibly get her in there, so she's well up for it. Siddy, she drives cranes, so she would do it. Nix would love to, and I would give my eye teeth to do that again. I loved it. So if you do know a Routemaster out there that wants a couple of volunteer drivers, we would happily come and try it. Now, the thing about the Routemaster is that it will always live on in some form in London, even if it is just at the London Transport Museum. But brilliant thing at the moment is there are still some driving around. There's a heritage route, and there's also one company that has turned a fleet of these, a little fleet of these Routemasters, the RMLs, a slightly longer Routemaster, into a mobile restaurant where you can have afternoon tea. And because we are greedy little piggies, we decided to go and check out the bus with a sandwich.
Guys, I wanted to bring you somewhere a little bit special on this beautiful summer's afternoon in London, and we're on a Routemaster with the beautiful little lights. There's even the dingy bell. All of this stuff works. We're aboard B Bakery's very special afternoon tea bus, and this is the lovely JP who is in charge of making sure that all of this runs brilliantly. He's also in charge of making sure people know about this thing. So
Absolutely.
everybody, raise your glasses to JP because this plan is to start.
Welcome on board. Thanks for having us aboard.
Loads of sandwiches, loads of cakes, filling boots, and just have a great time. But just revel in the fact that this icon of London is the means by which we go around. This moving restaurant is just the best way to see London, so it's great.
Can you imagine
If every commute was like this,
With that.
this would be the way to travel, right? It's the Pullman bus.
Yeah, it's like, you know, first class bus.
And the great thing, it's got a really wide door for when you get fat. So having this every day, you'd be really good with that.
For me, this is quintessentially London. This is iconic. This is awesome.
Buckingham Palace, the gardens in the background, Fred Routemaster bus, tea and cakes.
The hangout crew.
Yeah.
And if anybody tries to get this champagne off me, I'll scratch your eyes out. So this is going nowhere.
Is that champagne?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I thought it was apple juice.
I brought you here. It's not going to be apple juice, is it?
So you have a beautiful, beautiful bus. Of course, the seat trim originally would have been a little bit more like that. So we thought you might like to. We thought you might like that from our shop.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
So wherever you are in the world, you'll always have a bit of that Routemaster with you. And in the bag as well is a little piece of that moquette for when you love reading books. You've got a bookmark from me as well. So there's your little bookmark.
Seen that on your Instagram actually.
So that's
Thank you
really
so much, guys.
I've just realised as well, you're not a gentleman who wears socks, but in
winter's
case we
coming.
can, in case we can convince you, there you go. That's the only
It's Jimmy, I'll tell you all honestly.
I think there's a card in
And there's
there.
a card in there as well. So happy birthday, and thank you so much for letting us come on your bus because this is amazing.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Look, I'm blushing now.
This is the best time, Roy.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
While the girls and the boy are over there filling their faces on goodness knows what, I just wanted to have a chat with you about these Routemasters because you know that I'm a Londoner and I love these buses. They're so cute. You've restored them beautifully. They must take a lot of work to stay on the road.
A lot of work and a lot of love, to be honest. So there's no rules in the way. We refine a bus might be fully functional, might be fully fitted. Other buses might just be the skeleton of it. So it's a lot of work. All of the cast, for instance, of the benches are original, and they've just been refitted by your friends.
Southeast Coast.
Indeed. So yeah, it's a massive investment, but there's no price for this. I mean, look at people's reaction on the street. It's just beautiful.
Well, I was going to ask you actually, the people who get on these buses, they must be quite enamoured by the fact and quite delighted that they're on an old bus from London, because these are London. Black cabs, red buses. That's what London is really to most people.
What's the last one? Black cab.
The black cab, red bus, and JP, you're Belgian. Tell me.
The telephone cab.
Oh, the telephone boxes.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course. I'd say obviously. I would definitely say the 1938 tube stop, but then that's just me.
I was going to say letterbox.
It's kind of it, yeah. But you know, it's kind of
many.
actually there's a lot that's just London, isn't it? Really. But in terms of these buses, they look gorgeous. Are you still finding in COVID people are wanting to come on these buses?
Well, you might have noticed all of the screen, the way we've done the boarding, so it's table by table. We try to apply every single government advice, whatever it means, and life goes on. I mean, we need to carry on living and, of course, do it safely. Like, we are not breaking the bubble of 6. We are doing fine.
We've got it. We've got it. It's lovely. Thank you, as I say, so much for letting us be part of this today. It's really lovely to be on here, eating great food. You can imagine the mix of Belgian and French food and London. It's just brilliant. So thank you so much for making it. Is that? Oh, look at that! It's downstream. That's one of ours.
Downstream, we miss you, buddy.
Have you had a nice time?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, what we're going to do, I'm going to stop the bus now, because I can do this with the bell, and it works on this bus, because we're going to show JP our Routemasters after he's shown us his Routemasters.
Woohoo! So here we are back at the museum with our Routemaster.
Now the thing is, JP, these are our lovely buses. This is our Routemaster. You've got cakes on yours, we've not.
Yeah, and you know, Alex, when you were singing Summer Holiday at the start of the episode,
Badly.
you should have been sat in this bus. This is the one from the film that would be more accurate.
I love that. And we've got one more Routemaster to show JP, haven't we?
We absolutely do have another Routemaster. Might be my most favourite of all. You're going to love it, and we're going to go and sample it now.
Let's do this.
Work it, baby, work it.
Well, good suggestion, Laura. Here we are with arguably the most enjoyable Routemaster, the cocktail served in our museum canteen. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers for the Routemaster.
What do we think of this one then? Give it a swig.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's
Ding.
insane.
Insane.
Ding ding, yes.
Insane.
Okay.
Oh, dear
Oh,
good.
it's yummy.
And the great thing about it is a little tribute to a bus which stood the test of time and is still serving London and looking fantastic as well. Chris, Siddy and Laura, thank you so much for another amazing episode. JP, thank you for letting us scoff on your lovely buses. We'll be back next week with the most amazing episode because we are going to Brompton Road. You must not miss it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a station which doesn't even have a light bulb in it anymore. It's that dark. It's going to be great. Don't forget, follow us, Alex Grundon, Siddy Holloway and Chris Nix and LT Museum on Instagram. Drop into our DMs as well with questions and comments. And also on here, subscribe, like and comment on YouTube. As I say, back at the most amazing tube station next week. Have yourself a great day, and from all of us, stay safe.